you think that it's kind of fun to use because of the gift aspect? So who would like to stand up and tell me, come on up front and tell the rest of us what you thought of using, come on up and face them. This is Paul King. Wait a minute, we're getting a microphone.
I felt compelled to speak about Jess. I met Jess. We actually talked about a little bit about his family and his interests. Profound gentleman right here. He got a double PhD in Greek and Latin.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I mean, when somebody puts that out, I mean, you got a lot to talk about. Very interesting gentleman. Very interesting gentleman. I learned a lot.
That's so interesting. I took 2 years of Latin. More power to you. The only thing it helps me with is word power in Reader's Digest. I can figure out the description. Can't speak Latin. Okay, who else would like to share? It can either be what you've thought about the process of using that acronym or something that you found out about the person that you talked to. Don't be shy, because I'll either call on you or you can volunteer, one or the other. Oh, we got a volunteer coming up. Yay. And it's Roosevelt.
My name is Roosevelt, and at the beginning of this meeting, before everything started, I was started talking to Greg there, and I committed one of the things she said not to commit.
Oh.
So I'm here to let you know that, but after taking the time to look at some of the things that she said here, I was talking with Greg again, we've had us a nice conversation.
What did you learn about Greg that will be helpful to you in the future, or him?
He's retired. He's and his wife have been in with this organization for a little bit more than a year. They've purchased some property down in Mansfield where they're looking to go. Now I'm trying my best to remember everything.
You did good already. Thank you. Is it Roosevelt? Roosevelt. Okay. All right. Who else would like to share something surprising they found out about the person they talked to? I mean, how can we top double major in Latin and Cindy can top it. I'm talking into both of these.
Okay, I think I can top you on this one. Marie and I were talking, and her dad was given 6 months to live, and he ended up living 42 years after she took over his health care, and he had cancer, and she used natural methods.
Cool. So we might want to talk with Marie if we have some health issues, huh? Okay. She believes in the natural methods. Who else would like to share something that they found out? Who found, for a show of hands, who found this fairly easy to do and felt that it might be more effective, help you to be more effective and have shorter conversations with people and learn more in a shorter period of time is what I found using it, yeah. So you'll notice at the bottom, do I turn this off somehow? I'm not very good with microphone. You'll notice at the bottom, it says, what's the next step? And no matter whether we're in a process of developing a relationship or developing a friendship or whatever it is, or we're in a sales process, the next step, deciding what the next step is actually the closing of that process. So Anna was talking about, we need to be able to close, and nothing more than asking yourself, and you can even ask out loud, well, as a result of our conversation, what do you think the next step should be? And that's why it's on this sheet, because if you're meeting with someone for the first time and maybe you only had a half an hour to spend, but you found them really interesting, and you think maybe that the two of you can help each other in the future, you probably want to meet again. And what will happen if you don't schedule that appointment right away? You'll forget. It'll be 6 months, and you'll think, I met with that guy. Where was it that we met? And, it's way over here. And nothing happened. What you did is you went out on a date with that guy. even though you didn't know you were. And so you want to make sure that you have strategic appointments no matter what you're doing, whether it's negotiating, and especially with negotiating, you want to say, this is where we're at in the process. What do you think the next step is? And I think it's really helpful to say it out loud to the person that's sitting with you or sitting across the table from you, and actually together decide what the next step is. Because then you've got buy-in, and you both have agreement on what's going to happen exactly. So I encourage you to use that also. So a couple other things that we want to think about. And by the way, this would not necessarily be used in this big setting that we have tonight. This would be used more one-to-one, talking with each other, or maybe a couple people. But obviously you're gathering information in an event where you're milling around. You wouldn't have time to do this because you'd have to have either a brain or a phone that you could take notes on or whatever for every person that you talk to, and it would probably be impossible. But there are some ways that you can keep track of people when you're at events like this. I'm sure you all came with business cards. And many times when one of the ways that you can get out of a situation, let's pretend that you've been talking to someone for a while at an event like this, and you now want to move on. How do you get out of that conversation, especially if they're boring? Yeah, Cindy said I have to go to the bathroom, is what she says. You can do that. But one of the things that you can say, you can take it all upon yourself, and you can say, oh my gosh, I've taken so much of your time. I'm so sorry, because I'm sure you're here for the same reason I'm here tonight, and that is to meet a few people. I'm sure that you'll forgive me for taking all this time, but why don't we move on? Now, you can do a couple other things. If you've been talking with this person and you feel good about them and comfortable about them, you might have some people swirling around in your head that are even here at this event where you could say to them, you know what, I'd like to introduce you to, and then you can take them to that person. Make the introduction, make a personal introduction, tell the person that you're introducing them to why you thought it would be a good introduction. So you don't just go, hi, this is, hi Paul, this is Cindy, I'm Debbie, and then move on. You need to give a little story on why you think the two should meet. So that's one way you can do it besides just moving on. Now, let's pretend that you've had the conversation and they're a scary person, the one that you want to run away from the next time. So you don't want to introduce them to anyone, because if you introduce them to someone in the room, that person is going to hate you. So you could say we know that Paul wouldn't be like this. So Paul would be saying this to me probably. So you could say to Paul, tell me why you're here this evening and the types of people that you think you might like to be introduced to. Most people don't know the answer to that question. And he'll say, well, I just want to meet people. And so at that point you can say, well, you know what, there's plenty of people here tonight, and I'm sure that you're going to find the right ones for you. So then you can move on. Now, another way to end a conversation is to say, and you don't hand your business card out first. You always ask, in my opinion, you ask for the other person's business card first. So I might go up to Marcel. We've been chatting for a while. I like Marcel, so I do want his card. And so I would say, Marcel, do you have a card that I could have? He doesn't have a card. So then I might say, if that happens, well, here's mine. Would you give me your information? And have him put the information if I really want to get back to him. And then if he asks me for my card, I give it to him. If he does not ask for my card, I don't give it to him. Because I have gotten his information, I can get back to him if I want to. Typically, if you just shove your card in someone's face, it's probably going to get dropped on the floor, thrown into the wastebasket. It's just wasting your money. So wait until they ask for your card before you give it to them. The other thing that you want to make sure that you do is, and that's why when I go to networking events, I try not to eat or drink until I've got my goals met. And that's why I have goals. If I meet two people, then I can go to the bar. So, exactly. So I make notes on the back of the cards And again, I don't get that many cards. My goal is not to go away from an evening with 10 or 20 cards, because they're just going to gather dust on my desk, because I may go from, early in the morning to late at night, and if I get 10 cards from every opportunity that I go to during the day, that may end up with 50 cards on my desk, some of which I don't even want. So my goal is to get 2, remember. So I make notes on the back of those cards as to why I got them. Why did I even ask for this card? What did Marcel say that made me want to do, to make sure I have his information? Did I think that I should introduce him to someone? I'll write that person's name on the back of the card. I also write the date and the event that I met this person at. So that I would like to say that I get back to everyone within 24 hours, but then I would be lying to you. I try to get back to everyone within, like if I met them on Monday, I try to get back by Friday, maybe the weekend. So by the weekend, I may not remember where I met them. And I don't want to say I met you at the chamber event when in fact I met them at the Reia event. It kind of makes me look stupid. And it also gives me a frame of reference as to where, what they might be about also. So take some notes that will help you when you're reconnecting with people. And as I mentioned early on, my goal typically when I go to a networking event is to schedule 2 appointments for some time in the future. I take my phone with me. I schedule the appointment right now at the event. Because if I don't, what's going to happen? Forget. But I'm also going to play telephone tag with this person. I'm going to email them or call them, leave a message, send an email. Now, my email may go into their spam folder. They never get back to me, and I think they don't like me. And so then maybe a week later, I send them another email, and then I don't hear from them, and then I send them a 3rd email. At that point, I feel like I'm stalking. So then I stop. But yet there was a reason that I got that person's card, and it may be because I wanted to help him with something. So if you schedule the appointment right away, it's on your books, and then you can use the card to confirm it later. It saves you a whole lot of time. Now, there will be people that you want to schedule appointments with. If you have a paper calendar, you can still do it paper. But if they say, no, I'm busy, they've done you the biggest favor in the world, because you don't have to then chase them, unless your boss says you have to. Because there's more people that you can talk to. And so what they've done is they've qualified themselves for you. They have said, I'm not a qualified person to talk to you. And then you can just move on to the next person. Another thing that I like to do when I'm at a networking event, and not so much one like this, but maybe a chamber lunch or something like that, where you're sitting down at a table with maybe 6 to 8 people, I like to send a personal thank you note or a personal follow-up note to some of the people or all the people at the table, again, depending on what has been said at the table. But you will find that most people do not send personal notes. And I know that now it's okay to also send email. But I know that if I have someone's card with a mailing address on it, it's more than likely going to get to them. And there's a chance if I send an email, again, that it's going to go into the spam folder, so they won't even know I made the attempt. If they open their mailbox and they get think about when you get a handwritten envelope in the mailbox. Is it a shock? And it's a wonderful shock. So even if you only do 1 a week, you will have touched and put a smile on 52 people's faces over a year. Maybe you can't do everyone. All right. What I want to do is open to some questions. We've got about maybe 5 or 7 minutes for questions. See if you can stump the networking guru. I'm sure you can. Any questions on networking or relationship development or negotiating using networking that I can answer for you? Yes?
How do you stop talking about yourself? How do you stop talking about yourself?
So tell me a little, come on up here, Jess. So tell me a little, you run that microphone so I don't talk into it, okay, please, Joe? So when you say you want to stop talking about yourself, tell me the situation.
Well, I feel like a friend here really popped me pretty good, and I really wanted to find out more about him. We've circled around to it eventually, but that much time ago.
Okay, so it's wonderful that you recognize that, first of all. Second of all, I only gave you actually 14 minutes. So in many conversations, there's kind of like an ebb and flow. One person will ask questions for a while, and then you'll go back. So it just might have been a situation that it was probably just turning in what you were getting to him.
Something like that. Enough about me, what about you?
Yeah, you can say, that's really interesting. Tell me a little bit about you as far as family or, interest, whatever. And a lot of times when he's asking the questions, you may not have found anything in common yet because, there wasn't that much time. But once you find that whatever it is in common, then you're both talking
Right.
because it's exciting.
Right.
Yeah. Does that help?
That does.
Okay. All right. Marcel, come on up. Oh, Paul, I'm sorry. I've now renamed you. You're going to be Marcel for the rest of your
I
life.
had a question. I wanted to say first that, when you're talking to somebody,
Hold it up like this.
when you're talking to somebody that's that interesting, it's hard to interject yourself into the conversation.
Yes.
But I wanted to just kind of have you demonstrate how you would go through.
Oh, you're going to put me on the
gifts.
spot, huh? So are you going to be my person? Oh, yeah, I'm talking to this. Okay. So, Paul. And this is supposed to be a conversation, so this is kind of awkward. But, so tell me a little bit about what you do when you're not working. What have I just asked? The question would be what? Interest. Okay.
Well, I spend a lot of time. I have 3 young children, so I try to spend as much time as I can with my 3 young children.
How old are they?
They're 11, 9, and 7.
Okay,
So
and
they keep
boys,
my hands
girls?
full. My 2 oldest are boys, and my youngest is a girl.
Are they into sports?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. We try to keep them focused on academics during school and then sports during the summertime.
Okay. All right, so you value academics a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And what is your dream for them?
My dream for my children would be for them to live life on their own terms.
What does that mean?
That means, it depends on I think it really depends individually what they decide success will be for them, because success for some people is financial freedom, success for some people is relationships as far as their own family is concerned. So I think hopefully they can give them roots and they can decide what it is that, is going to be success in their
Hold
life.
that thought. Teach your time out. What would be your next question? He's led you into it.
What's your view of success?
What's your view of success for yourself? Or what are some of the successes you've had in your
10
life?
billion in cash. Next question.
So what are you really proud of that you've accomplished, besides the kids, obviously?
You know what? I'm proud of a lot of things. I'm proud of that. Me and my wife have been happily married for 10 years, getting better as the years go on.
Would she say that?
I hope so. I hope so. I've had a few successful businesses. I like to think
Okay.
successful. I've learned a lot in the process. I think that's what makes them a success.
What would be the next question? He's just led you into.
She cheating. That's that you cheating.
What would be the next question? He just led you to the next question.
I'm
What
sorry.
are some of the businesses? What were they, or are they still active?
Well, my wife and I ran a sports bar and lounge in the downtown area for about 10 years. And
Okay.
it was really more of a nightclub, so the lifespan of a nightclub is real short, and we lasted for 10 years.
That's pretty good then.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay. So, does that help?
It helps.
Okay.
It helps. I wanted to kind of see you fire them off like
You want me to do the flashlight?
That's fine.
Okay. And what didn't we get to at all? Pardon?
Groups.
We didn't get to groups. We got to interest a little bit as kids, but I know that there's more. We didn't really get to his targets.
Okay.
But typically, remember, I told you that I might leave targets or goals to maybe even the end of this conversation or maybe the next conversation. Because I have not earned the right yet to know what he wants in life. And as soon as I have, then I'm going to be able to help him get there. Because that's why you asked that question. So does that help? Does anyone have any questions on the process then? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, back there. Come on up. Use the microphone then. Eat it like an ice cream cone.
Debbie, how does the body language affect the conversation?
How does it affect conversation?
Yeah.
You mean when you're having a one-to-one with someone or in this setting?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So which one do you want first?
The setting.
The setting, and which setting do you want?
Probably just a one-on-one.
A one-on-one?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting across the table, coffee shop, whatever, with someone?
Right.
Okay, so there's a couple things that you want to see and you can notice. When someone puts their hand up in front of their mouth like this, or like this, what does it mean? They're not telling the truth, or the whole truth, or nothing but the truth. They're hiding their lips from you. Typically when people make eye contact, it means they're interested in you until you trip something in their brain, and all of a sudden, if you see them look down, or their eyes they may actually turn their head, or they may actually look up, they're actually seeing a movie of something that you have made happen as a result of something you've said. And so you want to be real cognizant of what you've said, because that's the important part of the conversation. And it's a buying signal in the sales world when they break eye contact and look to the side or look up, and supposedly one means one or the other. I really don't care. I just know it's a selling signal when that happens. Let me think of some others. If someone says to you, it's not necessarily a body signal, but it's, so how much does it cost? Is there a form that I need to fill out? So they're assuming that they can't answer those questions unless they're ready to buy. So those are verbal body signals. I'm trying to think of some other ones, sitting across the table. Oh, if they're sitting pretty much facing you, that means they're open to what you're having to say. If they turn and cross their legs and do a little bit of this, they're covering up and protecting themselves. So again, you want to think about, what did I just say that made that happen? So it's not necessarily a static, body language is not static necessarily, it's in motion and what happened to make that motion happen. Does that help? Okay. Anything else? All right. So here's what I want you to think about when you're thinking about networking and negotiating. Negotiating is nothing more than networking on steroids. It's asking questions. Now, it may be different than the questions that you've asked tonight of each other. Those are networking questions. But have some sort of formula for yourself so that you can gather as much information as possible about that person so that you feel more comfortable with them. And once you feel more comfortable with them and they feel more comfortable with you, then it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to get whatever it is that you want done. So, with that, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to come tonight and help you become better at what you're doing. And am I turning this back over to you, Anna? I forgot. I figured out a way to give away the book.
Excellent.
Okay, this is a way to relate to Debbie, because it's all about Debbie. Anyone who has a birthday closest to mine, which is July 27th, will win this book. July 26th.
Oh, anybody closer?
And that was my
July
dad's birthday,
26th.
so it's double wonderful.
Hey, all right. All right, I also want to remind you, the pink sheets, there's a pot of gold on the way out. Go around and talk to our vendors and get them all set up. Next month will be our trade fair. We've been filled with vendors. But turn in your pink surveys for a pot of gold at the way out. Oh, you wanted to mention.
Street Cafe. So if you'd like to join us, we'll be out there for a bite to eat at Door Street Cafe at Door and Reynolds.